Solitairica is a roguelike solitaire mashup. Yes, you heard me right. The roguelike genre has spread into classic card games. It comes out on May 31st on Steam for $11.99, with a 20% launch discount. So will shuffling Solitaire's classic mechanics with combat elements justify its price point? Or will the deck deal you a hand that you'll end up folding? Well, that's what I'm here to answer. But before I begin this review, this key was obtained from the developer for the purposes of review. That won't change my opinion of the game in the end, but you should know that because of FTC guidelines, as well as the whole morals thing, you know? So, here's the deal. You fight a series of matches between monsters with procedurally generated attributes, as you try to make your way to the castle and defeat the evil emperor inside. The way you battle enemies is through the equivalent of Spider Solitaire. You start with a card, and you can grab any card that's one value above or below your current card value. You can do this repeatedly, revealing cards that you take from the same column, until you can't anymore. You then end your turn and draw a new card from your deck. This does allow the enemy to play an attack card, which can attack your health points or change the field. You win the match when you capture all the cards dealt on the field. You lose when you run out of life. If you do lose, you earn runestones that can unlock new heroes and new cards to help you the next run around. Okay, it's a game of luck then. Not so fast. What's different here are those symbols on the cards themselves. Those are energy, orange being attack, blue being defense, green being agility, and purple being willpower. Gaining this energy will give you points to spend on 6 possible skills on the left-hand side of the screen. These skills are connected to the different attributes that they represent. Attack spells will destroy cards within the columns. Defense spells could stun your opponent or gain you armor. Agility spells usually enhance the field or change the card numbers on the field. And the willpower spells will recover health or cast magical spells of various sorts. And thus the dance between strategy and luck begins. The enemies have various skills and abilities that will keep you on your toes. For example, they can inject cards with poison, making them do damage as long as they're not destroyed. Or they can armor up a card so that it takes 3 hits for it to be taken out. They may mess with the playing field by turning cards into the same number. Or hell, may make your life a little bit easier accidentally. And of course they'll punch you in the face repeatedly. As you beat monsters, you'll earn coins to buy the items that will help you out in battle, as well as new spells. If you can't buy the spell you want, that's okay. You can hold it at the shop for a price so you can get it the next time around. Now these spells get more powerful as the game goes along, so always check the store for more possible upgrades, because those upgrades will make the difference in the end. So okay, how good is the game? Well, I planned on playing the game for hours to give you guys my first impressions. Instead, I played the game this much and turned it into a review. That should say something to you. That something means that the game is addictive. And fun. And addictive. It's a game that does the roguelike genre right in the strategy subgenre. It's basic at its core. It's one simple concept with extra layers that are added on top of it. And yet it's able to take the original concept and enhance it due to the logical skills they added, along with the random luck element. It understood what makes Spider Solitaire a game that you can repeatedly play, and yet helped in turning some of its weaknesses of waiting for that one card into strategy elements. It's the skills that make the game so fun. The fact is, when an enemy messes with a card that you can't seemingly get rid of, it'll drive you up the wall, or you'll spend massive amounts of energy to try to get rid of it. The game mixes it up on you too, with the ability for certain enemies to burn your energy reserves, forcing you to not hoard it for when you need it. The sheer variety of abilities lead to a lot of different strategies as well. You can get awesome combos going, like turning all the cards into play into coin cards, then using a skill that takes all of the revealed cards of a single type. You'll feel a sense of accomplishment when you snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, as you draw the right card with 1 health left. It's a reasonable challenge, as you have to counter the bad luck that you will be dealt, or counter an enemy specifically before you go into the battle. The enemy skills can have some really nasty effects at times for specific heroes, like turning 3 to 5 cards to the same number, which can be devastating for any momentum. However, if you happen to pick up the right skill that destroys cards based on the same number, well, you're golden. Each of the different classes that you can play as master in 2 different attributes, from the warrior, who puts up defenses and hits cards hard, to the bard, who wants to hoard massive amounts of energy to enhance his recovery skills. They can play reasonably differently, like the wizard, who has to aggressively take out cards quickly, as he doesn't have the health spells to recover at first. Now granted, you can pick up spells for the other attributes via the store, but with the cards you draw from your deck, you get a majority of 2 primary colors that you're associated with. This is one of those games that, despite what may seem like a high price point at first due to finding Spider Solitaire free on the web, it justifies the changes and the price in question. If you find the gameplay enjoyable, you will get addicted to it. It has one more run flowing through its veins as you try to figure out what went wrong the last time around. If you find yourself getting addicted to strategy roguelike games and not putting them down for a long time, then Solitairica is the royal flush of games for you. So, add an enhancer to this review. Enemy variety is good too. There's reasonable amounts of skills here, and the procedural generation of adding adjectives that enhance enemy skills keep things rather fresh. Granted, after you play through 15 to 20 times, you're facing enemies that you know their base tricks and strategies, and sooner or later, that will start to wear on you a little bit. Specifically, it's within the different environment tiers when climbing up the ladder to face the Emperor. But it did take a while to get there and for it to get not necessarily boring, but a little bit repetitive. But honestly, it just needs a tiny enhancement, as it does the job reasonably for the price point in question. Now, the presentation is straightforward, and while it doesn't use the screen space to the greatest of abilities, the animation and card art are clean and appealing to the eye. They do a reasonable job of interacting, like the shield defending the health points from attacks. Now, I'm actually surprised that this game isn't on iOS or Android, as the original presentation during the review period seemed to suggest that. It makes sense on that platform too, that's for sure, and I do wonder if it's planned to come to them anytime soon, because I can see this being the perfect pocket phone game. Actually, part of the reason that I'm surprised it's not on mobile platforms is its implementation, as it seems like the game was made with a touchscreen in mind. There are no hotkeys for the skills, which would have really helped in speeding the game along. And that's where the biggest weakness of the game pops up, its speed. At first it's not a problem, but once you get the basics down, it feels a little slower than it should be. I do wish there was a setting to shorten the animations, as over time, the few seconds that play every time the enemy attacks does get annoying in the long run. I want to play through the game quickly at this point. I've seen the animations before, so let me quickly get through the game. And sound design complemented fast gameplay with some good design here. The indicators for the different status effects were clear and distinct, and the sounds associated with information that you needed to know was smartly implemented. For example, knowing when one column of energy is full, there's a specific sound that plays when you end up burning off energy because you can't hold anymore. There's good contextual hints here, and I appreciate the design. Music-wise, it's alright. It needed more variety, but hell, this is sort of a perfect game for watching YouTube videos in the background, so you'll probably turn the music off anyway. Also, that's an enhancer. In the end, Solitairica delivers the strategy and addictive elements in a clean package, which has a couple of rough spots, but nothing that drags the game down as a whole. Its initial price point may turn off some, but it delivers in fun and addictive gameplay, and that's all I can ask. The game clocks in with an 84 on my scoring scale, making it a solid buy for all people out there, unless you're hurting for cash. And like always in my bigger reviews, take note of the enhancers as well, because they're mostly positive this time around. The game may not be for certain people, but if you're watching this video, most likely, you're in the class of people that were interested in this game, especially if you're here this far in the review. And yes, I'm sort of breaking the fourth wall by doing this, but hey, it's good to keep people on their toes, you know? Anyway, expect another review tomorrow in Demetrios: The Big Cynical Adventure, and Hard Reset Redux later in the week. I'm also working on an Overwatch Junkrat guide, but review copies take precedent, so keep that in mind. I'll see you all later. if I'm not addicted to playing more Overwatch and Solitairica. God, these games are addictive. Thanks for watching. Like the video, share it with a friend, and subscribe if you want more content like this. In the description below, you'll find the Steam review accompanying this vid, along with social media that you can follow me on, Twitter, Google+, and Facebook groups. And if you want to support the channel, click that Patreon on the left of the screen. And remember, keep on gaming.